that is a judgment call, and that's up to NASCAR.
Continuing to clean up on the front side of the racetrack here, where all the mayhem happened.
Was I sleeping, or did you explain what that penalty was if you work under the red flag? What is the rule?
I'm waiting to hear what the penalty would be there. What do you do to him?
But I know guys must have worked on the cars in the red before. Whatever happened to them?
They were always sneaky when they did it before.
Oh, okay.
They were not as clear. I mean, there's not as blatant as Sterling Marlin was. They always kind of sneaked around a little bit.
Somebody must have gotten in trouble for it. Someday.
You know, I don't recall it.
Ever?
In my time on the Winston Cup circuit, I don't ever recall it. Someone being penalized for working on their car under the red flag. So I have no memory of that ever happening before.
And I just have no memory.
I've got in my hand a card that they give out to all the crew chiefs and all of the pit road officials, which explains race procedure penalties. And I'm trying to scan down it. I don't see anything on this particular card about the working on the car under the red flag. So we'll follow up with NASCAR here and find out. We're waiting to hear. Separate from that, it's going to be a most interesting finish.
With Sterling Marlin's got the same problem that Jeff Gordon had. He's the leader. Now they're all going to be laying back, trying to get a run on him.
If that tire holds up and if he doesn't get penalized. You got Ward Burton, Jeffrey Bodine, Elliott Sadler, Dale Jarrett all up there. And you're going to have Jeff Gordon storming from the back of the pack on fresh tires. And he's only going to have about 3 laps to do it.
Got Michael Waltrip back in 11th position as well.
Here's what they were saying down in the Sterling Marlin pits a minute ago.
Sterling, were you below the yellow line when you passed Gordon? He run me down there. My left side was below it, I believe. He run me down below it.
Team owner Chip Ganassi there.
And that was honest. I mean, that's exactly what happened. He had his left side below the yellow line when Jeff Gordon tried
to race at the tail end of the longest line, Glove.
All right, they just made the call.
The longest line or lead lap? The tail end of the longest line. About what I asked an official.
That is the message being relayed to Sterling Marlin from his team.
For what?
There is only one line. Under 10 laps to go, there's only one line. So they're saying that he's got to start all the way at the back of the field. Is that right, Wally?
Yep. And what NASCAR's determination on this deal with the yellow line is, since the yellow had dropped, they say that what was happening was the 40 car went down underneath the yellow line to avoid the accident. He was not gaining any positions.
Okay.
He went down under the yellow line to avoid the accident?
He went down to the yellow line. When the yellow was out, Jeff had checked up. Everybody was slowing down, and they decided that the 40 car went down underneath Jeff's car. The yellow was already out at this point now, so he couldn't advance his position anyway.
He could race him back to the yellow.
They could race him back to the line. They had taken the green flag. They could race him back to the line.
So, well,
they decided that as the wreck was happening at the start-finish line, the 40 car went down. Jeff was down there. He was avoiding Jeff, and there's one shot. Actually, you can see when Jeff was coming down, he was coming back up the track, and Sterling came back up the track, but that's what they called.
And let's make clear, you just walked over to NASCAR Race Control to ask that, and that's the answer you got.
Right. So why is he going to the end of the longest line, Sterling Marlin?
He's going to the end of the longest line, but it would be for working on the car
during the red.
Under the red flag.
Right.
Okay.
Correct.
So no penalty for going below the line, but the penalty to the end of the longest line is for working on the car under the red.
Right. Not the yellow line is not an issue.
Okay.
It's for working on the car during the red.
And he goes to the end of the longest line. So therefore he'll come in, they'll work on the car, knock the fender out, change 4 tires.
4 tires and go.
Agree with those decisions?
It doesn't matter either way. Whether you get penalized for going below the yellow line or working on the car, you're going to get penalized for one of those. So I don't know what's the difference.
It's fair enough. I mean, what are they going to do? Make him go the end of the longest line twice? They can't do that. I mean, so it's fair enough, the penalty. Here's the situation. The green flag is in the air. See the green flag waving? Now, Sterling Marlin's trying to get by. He clearly has the left side below the yellow line. Jeff Gordon goes down to try to block him.
Okay, now is the yellow waving right here yet?
Not yet.
Nope.
Now it is.
Okay, now the yellow flag starts waving.
Inside.
The wreck, the wreck was happening a long time in that picture, but I couldn't see the flag.
I don't see where that's an issue anyway.
But it doesn't matter.
Well, it's clear that the penalty on the backstretch for working on the car under the red, that was very clear, very obvious.
Right.
And he's been penalized for that.
And that's penalty enough. Yes, for the whole deal. That's once again, here's Sterling Marlin getting out of his car, going over. The right front fender is rubbing the tire. He grabs hold of the fender, trying to get it away from the tire because he doesn't want to stop. That is an infraction under NASCAR rules. You're not allowed to do anything to your vehicle on the red flag conditions.
How about Jeff Gordon in this deal? He get robbed in this?
No. I mean, they made contact on the racetrack.
And you heard Gordon say
that he spun himself
He took
out.
himself out.
he blocked. So he's got to go to the back of the line. Marlin's got to go to the back of the line. And Ward Burton's going to find himself leading the Daytona 500 when we go back green with about 3 laps to go.
Look at all those wrecked cars. Looks like Martinsville out there.
Coming up after the Daytona 500 on NBC, it's the NBA with the defending champion Lakers, Portland Trailblazers. That's after our Daytona coverage here on NBC. Then later tonight at 7 Eastern Time, our coverage of the Winter Olympic Games continues from Salt Lake City, including the presentation of the gold medal to the Canadian figure skating pair that was involved in all the judging controversy earlier this week.
I'd just like to say one more thing. Sterling was probably going to have to come in anyway, because that fender was rubbing on that tire hard. There's no way that thing was going to take another 4 laps.
I agree. He probably was going to have to come in. And, was it penalty enough? I mean, he can't win the Daytona 500 now. That's the biggest penalty of all.
I'm going to tell you what, after what's happened over the last hour or so, I'm not going to make that statement with you, BP. I wouldn't be surprised if anybody that's still on the track ends up winning this thing. I mean, look at all the people who've fallen by the wayside all day long. Started on lap 2. Tony Stewart, one of the favorites to win, gone. Engine failure. Dale Earnhardt Jr., cut tire lap 23. Another favorite to win, gone.
It's going to be a heck of a 3 or 4 laps.
Sorry, well, just still waiting while they clean up the racetrack before they pull the red flag. It looks like they're just about done. They had some of the jet blowers out on the track, taking all the oil dry and the bits of metal and things like that down to the inside of the speedway. And in fact, the word has just gone out to crank the cars up, fire the engines out on the back straightaway.
What do we got? 4 guys in the top 7 right now that have not won the Daytona 500.
Ward Burton, Elliott Sadler,
Mark
Martin, Ryan Newman. And the experienced guys, Jeffrey Bodine, Dale Jarrett, Bill Elliott, have a Daytona 500 trophy. Red flag is withdrawn. Yellow flag is now back out. Now you can work on your race car.
But you heard, when we heard the restart just a moment ago, and Jeff Gordon was accelerating, trying to get his car up to speed, did you hear the big drop in RPMs when he shifted from 2nd gear to 3rd gear? See, that's one problem with the transmissions at Daytona. You have to have such a low 1st gear to get you out of the pits. So then 2nd gear becomes too much. You can't have the ratios close enough, and you always have a big drop off in RPM between one of the gears. In his case, it was between 2nd and 3rd, and he lost all that momentum when he went to 3rd gear.
So they're moving now back around toward the front stretch. They'll get the 1 to go signal when they come to the start-finish line, and it will be a 3-lap race to see who wins the Daytona 500. 14 cars on the lead lap. Hey, BP.
There you go.
How'd you do that?
Well,
You led the right ones.
the last 4, that's right.
David Pearson was leading and spun out, right?
That's right, with 4 laps to go.
Derek Cope, 1990. Dale Earnhardt led by about a mile. Cut a tire down. Cope went on to the victory. I'll tell you who may turn around and be the absolute story of this day, Jeffrey Bodine. He's going to be running second after the penalty to Sterling Marlin. Let's hear from his team.
Johnny Allen is his crew chief, and Johnny, you know, Benny Parsons said earlier, you guys had one of the strongest motors after that dyno test the other day. Can Jeffrey get some help and get around everybody?
I don't know. There's a lot of conspiring and deal making going on behind this. But I seen the deal the other day, and they said that there's no deals, just discussions, and we hoping to go good here at the end. We got one lap to go before we go green, and we'll see what we got left. Mitsubishi Indian cars running good.
Remember yesterday, Johnny was working on the one car of Jimmy Spencer, and it failed at the end. And car owner James Finch, he's gone back to his boat. He's left. If they win, he won't be in victory lane. James, you might want to come back. Marty?
Well, Dave, what an interesting day, and if he does win the race, Jeffrey Bodine, he's got to pass Tommy Baldwin's driver out there, Ward Burton. What a crazy day. Can Ward keep it up front? A lot of Fords behind your Dodge.
Yeah, I was just telling Ward that, you know, but I'm real proud of everybody at this Caterpillar Dodge back at the shop. They've done an awesome job to put this car where it is right now, and, you know, had a lot of Fords run up front today. You know, they got a good break with NASCAR, but hopefully we'll come out top. You know, we're real excited right now, and it's time to let it eat. Every man for himself now.
Hey, guys, you think we've seen a lot of blocking in the first 195 laps? Watch these last few.
It's going to be wild.
3 laps to decide the Daytona 500. Ward Burton leads. Jeffrey Bodine is second. Elliott Sadler third. Dale Jarrett fourth. And Ryan Newman is fifth. You'll have also in the mix, Mark Martin is fifth. Ryan Newman is sixth. And you'll have Jeff Gordon and Sterling Marlin back in 11th and 12th. Here's what Jeff Gordon said right after the crash.
Oh, that was my own fault. I mean, Sterling hung back so much there that, I mean, you know, I didn't have a choice but to slow down there, and he had a run on me, and I blocked him. You know, got myself turned.
There you have it.
We are coming to the green. Look at how far back from the pace car Ward Burton is hanging.
And look how far Elliott Sadler is hanging behind Jeffrey Bodine, all trying to time it right to get that run, that great run that allowed them to go by.
3 laps to settle the Daytona 500.
Well, it looks like they got a run on them.
Look at the blocking going on back in the pack.
And look, somebody's got a great run on the outside.
Ryan Newman, the youngster from Indiana in the 12 car.
And this is exactly what Ward Burton needed. He needed those Fords to get side by side, and it's working to perfection for him.
Johnny Benson in the 10 car up high trying to follow Newman. Jeff Gordon and Marlin not in the picture yet.
He's got to be careful, though, BP, when this group catches him.
Here comes Dale Jarrett up behind Jeffrey Bodine in the 88 car.
And Elliott Sadler's moved into that second spot, right on the back bumper of Ward Burton.
The first 2 have never won the 500. The second 2 have won it 4 times between them. 2 laps to go as they come to the start-finish line. Marlin has caught the pack. Jeff Gordon is back from it. Check that. That's Craven. Gordon has caught the pack too.
I think Ward Burton has his car up to speed now. I think he's going to be okay.
I think you're right, BP. These guys aren't close enough and lined up enough to make a move on Ward Burton.
There ain't nowhere to go to block.
So spotter tell him where to go to block those guys.
The traffic mixing and shuffling behind him. But Sadler and Jeff Bodine not able to mount a charge yet.